Hello everyone. This video is about something Sanskrit related. It's not about Sanskrit itself, but about something Sanskrit related, namely about a question that I actually get relatively frequently. What is the difference between the courses that I offer teaching introductory Sanskrit based on my book? And let me share my screen. There we go. Right. So there are two different courses. They are both online, and so I can understand if people aren't sure, what that is all about. So let me just quickly walk you through them. This is the thing itself, the Cambridge Introduction to Sanskrit. I'm sure some of you have seen it already. Both of the courses I'm going to talk about are based on this book. So that is the first thing that you'll need for them. Now, there are two options, as I said, two different courses. Namely, I have one course that I teach via Google Groups, which is bare bones, but free. And then I have another course that I teach via Yogic Studies, which is, I would say, fairly all around, fairly complete, but not free. And what I'm trying to do with both of these courses is imitate what I still think is the best setup for learning anything, but especially learning something complex, which is a traditional classroom setting. In that kind of setting, you would have a teacher to set the pace, to guide, and to encourage. And setting a pace is actually much more important than people realize, and you wouldn't notice that your teacher is doing it when they're doing it right, because when you're trying to learn something on your own, one of the main difficulties is trying to basically work in such a way that you are not feeling you're not making any progress. You feel that you're going far too slowly and you're not getting anywhere, on the one hand. And on the other hand, basically giving yourself far too much to do and thus feeling overwhelmed and feeling that, this is too difficult, this is too hard for you. And so what a teacher would do for you is set a pace that does challenge you, but does not overwhelm you. Then they're there to guide, so to show you, this is the material that I want us to look at this class or this week. This is actually really important. This is of secondary importance, but we're talking about it for completeness sake. They might point you to related phenomena that you already know, but may have forgotten about. So for example, if you're introduced to a new declension, they may then remind you, actually, the forms that we're looking at today are quite similar to those forms we memorized or that we encountered 3 weeks ago. And so what you need to learn this week actually isn't all new. So that's something that a teacher would do. And very importantly, a teacher would be there to encourage. I don't know about you, but I find Sanskrit rather intricate, rather tricky. And very often I find that I need to remind my students of something that I had to remind myself of when I learned Sanskrit, which is, if you find the material difficult, it's not because you're not good enough, it's because very often it just is difficult. So that's the role of a teacher in a traditional classroom setting. Then in such a setting, you would also have a time and space that's reserved for study, during which, it's perfectly clear that this is the time where you will be allowed to focus on Sanskrit grammar, theoretical physics, 19th century literature, whatever it is that you're wanting to spend time on, that is the time and space that is reserved for that. So it's kind of a little bit of a safe space in a way. And a classroom would ideally be encouraging, would be an interesting, would be a stimulating environment without being overly distractive. Then, when you're in a traditional classroom setting, because you have a teacher, you get immediate answers to your questions. Something is explained, it's not entirely clear, you just ask again, and you don't need to puzzle for a long time. You don't need to, look things up in all sorts of books, look in this grammar here, on that website there. No, you just ask your teacher, and your teacher answers your questions, does away with any uncertainties right away. And also you have a cohort of fellow students. I've always found that doing something painful together, and unfortunately learning something complex will always have slightly painful elements, no matter how good the teacher is. I've always found that doing something painful together is the best way of making lifelong friends, and it's just generally nice if you've got a supportive environment, a friendly group with whom you can puzzle out new things together, who will say, yeah, I'm also overwhelmed, or who will say, I also found this difficult, or who will say, oh, actually, I figured this out. So that is what fellow students are, basically wonderful for. So this is the setting, the traditional classroom setting that I think, for the factors that I just analyzed, or that I just tried to sort of take apart a little, is most conducive to proper learning, to learning that lasts. And so with both of the courses that I'm offering, the free online courses and the yogic studies courses, I'm trying to recreate as much as possible of these elements that I just outlined. So for example, the free online courses set a pace, or I set a pace in those by sending you weekly emails in which I say, this is a chunk of material that I think would be good to look at this week. I try to encourage you as much as possible by pointing out, this, you should be able to work through in no time. This is more difficult. If you find it difficult, it's not you, it is the material. But obviously doing that via email, the encouragement that is possible is rather limited. Then together with the material that I give you, and with the pace that I thus set, I give you a collection of links to all the various online resources that are available in conjunction with my book. So the videos, the flashcards, any other related online programs, any downloads, and so on. And I've also set up a Facebook group with the aim of letting you connect with your fellow students, and ask questions get answers to those questions, either from me as much as I can, or also from other course members. But I must say that I find the Facebook group isn't working very well. It's very big, there's lots and lots of members, but only few people actually ask grammar questions. And also there were a couple of times that someone said, I'm looking for a study buddy, but actually no one replied. And so the cohort of fellow students, that experience I've been unable to rebuild, basically, in the framework of my free online course. So what the online courses are missing: the regular time and space set aside. There are no live classes. I basically set these up at a time when I was teaching at a secondary school full time, and I just basically wanted to have something out there. I wanted to have an offer to people who wanted something more than just the book, who wanted something more guided. And it wasn't really possible to find a slot that actually worked for people, given that that worked for me and for people interested, because people were all over the globe. So there's no regular time and space set aside, and therefore you have to be very, very self-motivated. There's no accountability to anyone, and so it's easy to fall behind. So if you enjoy, freedom, if you are highly self-motivated, then this is the course for you, because basically, you can just follow the pace that I set. However, life often intervenes, and when that does, then it's very easy to, skip a week, or to just say, okay, I'm not going to do that this week, I'm going to do it next week, and so on. And so I know that quite a few people do fall behind. And also, as I say, unfortunately, with those courses, there's little possibility of working together with others. Now, I think they still work. As I say, these courses are bare bones, but I know that they've worked for quite a few people. And if you would like to sign up for one of these courses, please send an email to ruppel@cambridge-sanskrit.org. When you do that, I'm also automatically going to send you, I'm going to send you an email that contains information about all the ongoing courses. It contains the key to the exercises, and it contains a list of errata, so of typos and other mistakes in the book. And if you're interested in joining a new course for complete beginners, that starts every September. So basically send an email to this address in around August, which is when I will have everything set up. So that's the free courses. The alternative is the courses that I teach via yogic studies. And these basically mirror all the elements of classroom teaching. And the reason why they can do that is that they're not free. So we do have the funds to invest in a virtual learning environment. We therefore have, 2 live classes per week, which are recorded and made available for everyone who's subscribed to the class, for everyone who's joined the class on the course website. So you can watch the classes, you can, join the classes live, you can watch the recordings later, and you'll have access to them basically as long as the internet exists. There is an online forum on which you can ask all your questions, and on which both our TA and myself are going to answer them. And also I found that, once people have invested a little money, then they are also invested in the course. They are invested in getting as much as they can out of it. So you have, which is great. So you will get lots of people asking questions, lots of people asking other people's questions, answering other people's questions. So the forum is quite lively and quite helpful. Then, so I've taught this introductory series of courses once so far, and I'm going to start another one in, I think, 3 weeks' time, on the 24th of May. And in this first round, we found that lots and lots of small study groups formed in various time zones. So we had a group on the West Coast, we had a group on the East Coast of the US, we had various European groups, and I think there also were other groups in time zones further east. And I know that people have found those very helpful, and I think quite a few friendships have actually formed in those groups. And there are regular graded quizzes, i.e. mini tests, and there's a midterm and there's a final in each course. If you're interested in those, you can sign up via yogicstudies.com/Sanskrit. And as I say, the first term begins on May 24th. And that's the first of 3 terms. And basically over the course of these 3 terms, which are 12 weeks each, I take you through the entirety of the Cambridge Introduction to Sanskrit. So I take you through all of these 3, I take you through the entire book in those 3 terms. As I say, these courses aren't free. I think the bundle for all 3 courses is a little over $800. You can sign up for an individual course. You don't need to sign up for the entire bundle. You have the option of paying in installments. So that's all there. However, still the fact remains that these courses, as I say, are not free. But I would like to think you're getting something for your money. And if you'd rather, try this for free on your own, that's what the other course is for, where basically, you sign up via Google Groups, you receive my weekly emails with all the materials that I mentioned, and then the rest is up to you. And obviously, you keep those emails, and you can then work on your Sanskrit in whatever time frame works best for you. So those are the 2 different models. I think both have their advantages and their disadvantages, but now I've gone on for quite some time about both of them, and I hope you now have a clearer image of how they work. And I would love it if I saw you on one of those at some point in the near future. Take care. Bye-bye.